Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Покажи, какой, видишь, за ухом черный. Давай.
Нихуя
Надо
там
опять
нормально.
через ухо.
Только ты смотри, не дергай сильно, блядь.
Да не
посмотрим,
ссы, ну
как
ты ж
он.
поверни башку ко
Слушай,
мне, ты,
опять
ебать.
через ухо надо вот здесь вытаскивать.
Ты потише, а когда больно будет. Ты не дергай его.
Да я вообще не дергаю.
Блядь, он в кости, нахуй. Не,
Погоди, надо подхватить его. Вот, дай
не, он в кости сидит.
Да в какой в кости, вот он торчит.
Ну я понимаю, что он торчит, он
Да, я его-
дальше-то он глубже сидит.
Я аккуратно, видишь. Что ты с ним будешь ходить? Ты вот так вот голову сделай.
Ну надо дальше через ухо вытаскивать, как ты зашел.
Тихо,
Подожди. Он большой, братан.
Большой в натуре.
Он большой.
Ох, нихуя.
Пуля,
ебать!
Пуля, ёб.
Нихуя ты ходишь, блядь.
Нихуя.
Пуля за ухом.
Прикинь.
Прикинь, а я же говорю, это пуля мне въебалась, что, блядь, я
А,
в
блядь.
Я в ахуе. Вот так вот мы воюем.
5:45, да?
You should make an apology to us. Because you didn't congratulate us for the peace deal that President Trump made between Albania and Azerbaijan.
I'm sorry for that, guy.
Yeah. So, and he worked very hard. He worked very hard. We had 500.
Help, Mr. Huntsman! Help!
Welcome to the jungle, my friends. Welcome back to the SCIF. This is war. Global war is breaking out everywhere. We're on the verge of something really bad, and you can come here to get the information that you won't hear anywhere else. Want to say hello to the crew. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for all the engagement. Give us a shout out to whatfinger.com after you check out cdm.press 3 times a day. You can go to them for aggregation sites all over the world. They post a lot of our content, and we're appreciative of that. Big show today. We've got Bill Gertz, probably the best sourced investigative journalist in Washington, D.C. I used to work with him at the Washington Times, so we sat down with him late last night, and I'm going to play that. We've got Michael Yan, who I sat down with even later last night. We're going to play a portion of that interview, and then it'll be posted in its entirety on our Information Operations show over the weekend, so stand by for that. And we've got Ed Vidal, and we're going to focus today on Venezuela and what's behind all that after we talk to Bill Gertz about more of the Golden Dome issues and what's going on in other areas of the world with Russia primarily, where he's very well versed on. But I've got to leave a little early today. I've got to catch a flight to D.C., so we're going to close the show about 11:20. You saw in the cold open the Samud, I think it's called that, Samud Flotilla coming into Gaza. It was boarded by Israelis, and they have been arrested and are in custody, all healthy, and will be returned to their countries. You saw the Albanian Prime Minister Rama talking with French President Macron and with Aliyev from Azerbaijan, giving him a hard time that he didn't congratulate them on the peace deal with Armenia. And another war breaking out, or another, I guess, tension and conflict and violence in Morocco. Africa's on fire in multiple areas. We're going to be in Africa soon. I'll bring you more details on that. We'll also be in Beirut at the end of next month. Actually, it's this month now. So we'll be there later in the month, and we'll be reporting live on what's going on with the Christian community in Beirut, because we think that's very important. And then Africa is in the queue as far as the next trip. So we've got a hell of a show today, a lot coming. Today is October 2nd. I'm your host, Todd Wood. This is your mission brief. False flags for Ukraine war escalation. The drones and Russia and all of that is being ginned up in order to get us into World War III, ladies and gentlemen. That's the only explanation we can get to. Depopulation, global war, thermonuclear war. They've all got their bunkers, right? But we don't. But we're going to stop this war, and we're going to stop it by civic and human involvement. The Samud Flotilla was boarded. You saw that video. You can find it on armedforces.press. We'll show that in a bit. Actually, we already showed it. We'll talk about it. AI actors in Hollywood. This is really interesting. We put this out yesterday. The Actors Guild don't like it, but they can essentially make whatever actor they want. It's a beautiful woman, but she's not real. We'll show you that. OMB withholding funds, 26 billion in funds to New York City and other jurisdictions to stop DEI and green energy payments. That shuts down the Hudson Tunnel Project and the Second Avenue subway, which has been, it's been 10 years that's been going on. And then Wikipedia lies. Tucker did a great interview with the founder of Wikipedia, and I want to highlight that for you. Wow, a lot going on. We'll be back with Bill Gertz. Stay with us on the SCIF after this break, and we've got a lot more coming. Stand by.
Can I ask a question about the nicotine pouches?
Yes.
Does it melt in your mouth, or do you have to spit it out later?
You can spit it out, you can swallow it, or you just savor it. I mean, you throw it in like you would a dip of tobacco.
Okay.
But you just let it sit there, and then it suffuses your nervous system with life-giving nicotine. And it really does feel like the hand of God is massaging you.
But does it feel like the high of smoking a cigarette?
It's simultaneously, if you can imagine the Zen paradox, higher alertness accompanied by deep relaxation.
Wow.
So you really are, it's a Zen experience. You're like cat-like in your readiness, but you're fully
And how long does it last?
I always have one going. Sometimes if things are, if I need it, I'll put another one in. So I've got 18 milligrams of nicotine, but that gives me an unfair advantage.
You're banging 18 milligrams? Woo. That's impressive.
I don't like to, because everybody else kind of recedes into the background and I become this kind of colossus when I do that, and I feel guilty about it. Hubris is inevitable at that point. So I usually keep it to one.
I mean, I could use a new addiction.
Oh, yes.
What's the gateway drug level? What would you prescribe?
This sits between caffeine
We
and
sell
cocaine.
a 3 milligram, but there's a transition, like all great addictions. Like, it's not instant. You do vomit at first, but then your body acclimates.
Wait is finally over. My towels are back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And that's not all. Check out our My Pillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, now only $29.88. And how about our limited edition premium My Pillows, made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset, made exclusively for you to thank you for all your support. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for $39.98, My Pillow bed sheets only $29.88, and our limited edition My Pillow Queens $17.98 and Kings only $19.98. Quantities won't last long, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I sat down with Bill Gertz, good friend of mine. Used to work with Bill intensely at the Washington Times back in the day. And he's a great reporter, has a lot of sources, knows a lot. I've learned a lot from him on how to be just a gumshoe sourced reporter in Washington, D.C. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. I did. And we'll be back right after this. It's about 20 minutes. Here we go. I think the most well-sourced U.S. national security correspondent in D.C., Bill Gertz of the Washington Times, who I've known for some time. Bill, thank you for taking some time. I appreciate it.
Glad to be on the show.
So there's a lot to talk about. I wanted to speak to you because I saw your piece on the Golden Dome. Where are we on that, and is it realistic? And obviously there's some pushback globally on that, right?
Yes, the Senate Armed Services Committee recently held a closed-door hearing on the Golden Dome system, which right now is to be funded in the bill that is now closed down the government to the tune of about $25 billion. The committee was told basically that it's going to take probably in the neighborhood of 175 billion to create what would be basically a 4-layer defense system that would be used to counter both missiles, foreign missiles, including cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and hypersonic missiles, as well as aircraft, and now the new threat posed by drones. So those are the 3 threats that they're building this system for. It's right in the concept phase. The goal is to have this system deployed by 2029. I think that's going to be difficult. Right now, my own view is that the Pentagon procurement system is really broken. We are way behind in our nuclear modernization. We have to upgrade our nuclear forces to maintain deterrence, and all of the new systems that are going to replace the old aging systems of land-based missiles, submarine missiles, and bombers are behind schedule and over budget. But Golden Dome is, the president said recently in a meeting with admirals and generals that it's going to be the most advanced technological system there is. And hopefully they will get it going.
So drones are obviously a big thing. Do we have the technology? I would hope we can get some of the Ukrainian stuff they've developed over there to incorporate. But are we there yet when it comes to drones, do you think?
The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said that counter drones and space weapons were 2 areas that the Pentagon needs to move faster on, develop better technology and be able to counter those weapons. The most we know about Golden Dome, going back to Golden Dome, is that back last month in August, there was a conference in Huntsville, Alabama, of missile defense people, and at that time, a bunch of briefing slides leaked. They were classified briefing slides, but they were leaked to Reuters and a couple of other trade publications. And that's basically the most we know about Golden Dome. And it talks about one of the unique weapons that may be used in the ground-based portion of the defense system will be the use of lasers. And I know that there's been a lot of research done, counter drone technology being done in the way of lasers to, one, either disrupt or shoot down the drones themselves, or use lasers and other kinds of directed energy to disrupt the communications between the controllers and the drones themselves.
I've always thought that, we need to have some like little mini EMP you could put on a soldier. So if he sees something coming, he just hits the button and destroys any electronics within a 20-foot area or something like that. I mean, you see some of these videos coming out of Ukraine and Donbass. It's insane. I mean, flying in the doors of helicopters, all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, I don't know how you defend against it. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think what they're hoping to do is leverage artificial intelligence, this advanced capability that involves masses of computer power with advanced software that can actually mimic human thinking. And what they can do with that is that it can react much more rapidly to also track and censor enemy drones, and then take decisions to orient weapons and counter systems to those things. That's kind of what they're hoping for. I don't know if I don't know the state of the technology on that, but I know that that's one of the areas that the military and the defense contractor community has been working.
Well, I think every soldier should have a shotgun. I think that's simple technology if anything gets close. Talking about nuclear, I read an article this morning, I don't remember who wrote it, that they may be looking at, you talked about the new nuclear systems, a new mobile ICBM system or technology capability in the U.S. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard discussions of it. Road mobile missiles and rail mobile missiles are key strategic weapons, and they're very difficult to track and counter. The Chinese have lots of road mobile missiles and rail mobile missiles. The Russians as well have a bunch of road mobile missiles. the U.S., because of the anti-nuclear sentiment in Congress and among Democrats, has shunned mobile basing modes for many, many decades. And now we're building the new Sentinel missile, which will replace the current arsenal of 400 single warhead Minuteman missiles. And there has been discussion about using a road mobile system. You could do it very easily. If you've traveled on our highways and seen large cranes that travel, heavy duty cranes, those frames are basically could be modified and militarized to carry a mobile missile launcher that basically road mobile, and then it lifts up and then it's able to fire its missile. I think it's something that's worth doing, at least to a portion of the new ground-based missile systems that we're working on as part of the nuclear modernization that involves tens of billions of dollars, probably 100 or more billion of dollars, which is urgently needed, where the calculus for deterring nuclear threats has shifted dramatically in favor of our adversaries. And by that, I mean China and Russia mostly. President Trump, when he spoke to the military officials, said that the U.S. still has the best nuclear weapons and the most, but that Russia has modernized its forces and China is catching up rapidly. He said basically that in a number of years, China is going to have the same number of nuclear warheads as the U.S. If that's the case, we're in a big trouble because our nuclear arsenal right now is sized to counter mainly a Russian nuclear threat, and they have not adjusted it, despite the commander of the U.S. Strategic Command announcing that basically we're in a situation where China is in what they call breakout mode, unrestrained expansion of its nuclear forces with no end in sight and no interest in limiting its forces through arms control talks. So that's the situation of our nuclear forces. We're building a brand new ground-based missile called the Sentinel. It's over budget and behind schedule. We're building a new B-21 bomber, which is also behind schedule. And for submarines, we're building a new class of Columbia ballistic missile submarines, which is also behind schedule.
You mentioned before we were starting, and let me just, by the way, any uncertainty we can insert into the targeting equation for the other side would be good. So I think the whole mobile thing has to be advanced, at least in a way that makes them think we're doing it, at least. What about, you talked about the plutonium problems. Go into that, please.
Yeah, I wrote about this in my Washington Times Inside the Ring column, which appears every Wednesday. And today is actually the first day of fiscal year 2026. And under a 2014 Defense Authorization Law, the Energy Department's National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, is required under law to be producing new plutonium pits. These are called war reserve pits. And basically, we have thousands of plutonium pits. A lot of them are aging and they need to be replaced. So Congress mandated that they produce at least a number, 10s or 20s of these new plutonium pits, which are the core of a thermonuclear warhead. And so far, they have not met the statutory goal of creating 10 new pits for fiscal 24, 20 for last fiscal year, which again ended yesterday, and 30 for the coming fiscal year of 2026. So this is again highlights the shortcomings of our nuclear infrastructure. It's atrophied, it's old, it needs to be reinvigorated and really pushed to be able to strengthen our military nuclear forces, which are a bedrock of most of our military activities. If you don't have a sound strategic nuclear deterrent, it makes pressuring adversaries and preventing adversaries from doing bad things. And that's really something that's urgently needed. It's been a top priority for the Pentagon for several years now. But again, our procurement system is severely hampered. We're having a real hard time building things and getting things done.
And that's bad because we've used up a lot of our our weapon stores, et cetera, that have to be replaced, and it doesn't look like we have the capability to replace them soon. What about Russia? You were talking about I forget the exact issue you brought up regarding Russia.
Yes, it's Russia. Vladimir Putin last week came out and voiced his concerns about the Golden Dome missile, the space portion of the Golden Dome missile defense, which he said would completely neutralize their offensive capabilities. Now that's obviously a propaganda and disinformation statement, but both China and Russia are opposing the space-based element of the Golden Dome, which is going to be built in part, I believe, based on the 1980s Reagan Strategic Defense Initiative idea of something called Brilliant Pebbles. Now, Brilliant Pebbles was a revolutionary concept of placing not so much interceptors as high-speed projectiles, which can be fired from satellites against ballistic missiles that transit through space. And this is a key ability to knock out incoming missiles. And again, both China and Russia are opposing that. They say that it will neutralize their offensive missile forces. Well, why don't they reduce their offensive missile forces in response? That's why I think the Golden Dome is really an important, really strategic, urgently strategic need for the United States.
Well, we look at the Orezhnik missile and the hypersonic capability, multiple independent reentry vehicles, all of that. I mean, you just have to watch that. Orezhnik wasn't nuclear, but that multiple MIRVs coming down over Ukraine got my attention a year or so ago. What about what the meeting that happened at Quantico yesterday? What's
an amazing meeting. We don't have the exact numbers of generals and admirals that attended, but it was in the hundreds. And this was part of a systematic plan to remove woke ideology from the military, something that has been a high priority for Defense Secretary Hegseth since he took office. I traveled with him to Asia in March on his plane, and I got 20 minutes with him. And again, he spoke eloquently about the need to reorient the military towards greater lethality and a greater warrior ethos. Now, the liberals are screaming bloody murder about this, that they feel that this is somehow wrong, but his rationale was very clear. And he gave a brilliant speech, which is online, and I urge everyone to listen to it, where he talked about this being an urgent time. We are facing immediate and growing threats from both China and Russia, and we need to prepare for war. The best way to prevent a war is to prepare for it. And that was the underlying theme of his entire context of his entire remarks yesterday. And he basically said, look, we're getting rid of woke ideology, and that includes racial and gender preferences for promotions. It includes eliminating the idea of gender ideology and radical transgenderism in the ranks. No dudes in dresses, he said. And also getting rid of what he called the climate change religion, which again, trying to make the grass grow greener on military bases was a wasted tens of millions of dollars. So he's refocusing the military. He wants the military leadership to understand that. President Trump spoke with him, and they were very blunt. Hegseth, in his way, he said, look, if what I'm telling you makes your heart sink, please resign. We'll thank you for your service. And President Trump, when he opened his remarks, he said, this is a very quiet audience, and they started to murmur, and he said, nope, don't laugh. He said, you're free to say whatever you want. You're free to applaud. You're free to leave if you want. But if you do leave, that'll be the end of your rank, and that'll be the end of your career. So this was really a very blunt, hard statement to the military leadership that the days of woke ideology are over, and the days of a new warrior ethos and a new approach to the use of military power is being instituted.
What does your source network tell you about the leadership in the Pentagon? Are they on board with this, or are there still some bad apples? Which obviously they are, but how many do you think?
I don't have a real good sense of how the rank and file and the senior leadership accept this, but or reacted to it. But I can tell you this: there have been no reported resignations. So Excess said, if you don't like this, do us a favor and resign. Nobody's resigned. So that tells me right there that there's support for this. And I've seen a lot of retired senior flag officers, 1-star up to 4-star, online and social media saying, yes, this is just what we need. It's time to change the playbook, get rid of the politically correct nonsense, and move forward with the military's ultimate mission, which is to kill people and break things. I think that was the term that the secretary used as well.
So last question, the Washington Times was Reagan's favorite paper. I mean, you have a long history. The masthead is pretty secure. What's going on at the Times? There's a lot of mistrust in the media, not against you, but against the media.
The Washington Times is one of the legitimate conservative newspapers out there. And you mentioned Reagan. I have a friend, lacrosse buddy of mine, who was one of Reagan's Secret Service agents. And he told me that Reagan demanded having the Washington Times every morning where he was anywhere in the world. Now, he had the Washington Post and the New York Times as well, but he insisted that the Washington Times always be with him. We are, as all newspapers are, we are struggling, and we are at a skeleton pace, but we are cranking out really good stories. And in fact, one of our new initiatives is called the Threat Status Newsletter. Now, this is a long overdue effort to leverage our national security coverage. The Washington Times was always known for its political coverage, being in Washington, which is a political town, and our local coverage. But our national security coverage was always top flight. And now we're leveraging that with the new Threat Status Newsletter. And we've done a number of conferences where we have a special page devoted to Golden Dome. We have a special initiative looking at drone warfare and the future of warfare through drones. So we're making the best of it in a very difficult business environment.
It is difficult. Bill, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. It's good to be on the show.
Take care.
Celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7. I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then, hurrah, hurrah. Oh, the men will cheer, the boys will shout, the ladies, they will all turn out and we'll all...
A muted mic. Welcome back to the SCIF. Love Bill Gertz. We'll have him back down the road. Let's get into some stories while we're here, and then we'll get into Michael Yon here in a second, but I just want to run through a few things with you. So I put out this story this morning, President Trump, don't be a warmonger. Please read this one and spread it, spread the links. There is a lot of chatter that Trump is authorized intelligence support for long-range strikes into Russia, possible Tomahawk missiles per Lindsey Graham insanity. This is insanity. It's going to lead to something really bad. And the Kellogg narrative, along with all the other retired generals, maybe getting to Trump. We don't know. But we want to be out in front vocally. We don't want to be, after, as the song says, 99 red balloons in this. Here I am sitting pretty in this ash that was a city. At that point, we don't want to be the ones who didn't say anything. So we're speaking up as loud as possible. Please spread this article around. The Wall Street Journal reported that NATO allies are being asked to join in these strikes, striking refineries, pipelines, power stations. U.S. is weighing delivery of Tomahawk cruise missiles. France detained a ship saying that it was a Russian tanker, saying that it was ones launching drones. This is another false narrative, in our opinion, meant to justify the coming global war. And then we also have Iran, where we have, let me just bring that up. We have talked about yesterday or the day before that dozens of American tanker fighter aircraft are arriving in Qatar. This is usually the prelude. As a former Air Force guy, I understand there's a lot of aircraft, as in electronic warfare, command and control, air refueling. All of that needs to be pre-positioned to do that type of strike on Iran, and that may be happening. So that's not cool. I wanted to draw your attention to armedforces.press. You can see the video, which we played in the cold open, of the boarding of the Samud Flotilla coming into Gaza. I think that's interesting. I always look to, no matter what the service or what the country, we like to look at tactics that are used. And this is an interesting video of Israeli naval commandos boarding the ship. So check that out. And in Hollywood, you can go to the Manhattan.press, our New York paper, and look at the new beautiful actress of Hollywood, but she's not real. This is, what's her name? Tilly Norwood. Fake actress, fake AI, all of it. And it's amazing. I'll just play this. You can watch this. This is her. You can see all of this. Quite amazing, my friends. Why is that not playing? Oh, it's not playing on the screen. Hold on one second. And I will redo that. Hold on. We need to share that one instead. So this is Tilly. Let me try to restart that here, and you can see that again. Oh, there she is. So this is Tilly Norwood. She's fake. The Actors Guilds don't like it. I mean, think about this. Why do you need actors and actresses anymore? I don't like to use the word actor for a female. She's an actress to me. This is the new AI actress. And anyway, it's causing big stir in Hollywood. One more story on the Manhattan.press. Russ Vogt of Office of Management and Budget has withheld $18 billion from New York City, and it's for the Hudson Tunnel and also the 2nd Avenue subway, which has been a long time in coming. Trump says the money is being spent wrong on DEI and green initiatives, and they've withheld it along with another $8 billion to other jurisdictions. So it looks like Trump is using this shutdown to just defund the dark side and stop all this garbage and reduce the federal government by reducing the headcount. So we think that's a valid and a valiant goal that we want to support. All right, so I sat down. Oh, one more. I forgot to do this one. Tucker has a great interview with Larry Sanger, who is the founder of Wikipedia. You need to listen to this. Wikipedia is garbage. It's all narrative. It's all controlled by the bad guys. And the problem is the AI is being trained on Wikipedia. So the AI, which is going to tell us what our reality is being trained on a false, biased platform that is not telling the truth about the world. And we're all about truth. That's why we're trying to fight for the Christian presence around the world, because we think that's highly important and part of the bringing truth. There'll be more there coming. We're going to have some more guests coming. We're trying to arrange some people, but wow, a lot going on. All right, I want to now go to an interview I did. It was almost 2 hours last night with Michael Yon. The dude can talk, but I want to. Let me bring this up. I wanted to talk about Venezuela, which we're going to talk about with Ed Vidal at the top of the hour. But I'm going to play this short clip with Michael Yon, and then we'll have Ed Vidal at the top of the hour. But I want to discuss what's going on in Venezuela, and so we did that. So let me bring that up, and here we go with Michael.
What does your gut tell you about Venezuela? I mean, there's the angle of, obviously it's not about the drugs, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the drugs. Is it about the elections? Is it about gang, violence? Is it about organized crime? What do you think Venezuela and all the military activity there is about?
I think basically, actually, my battery is running low on my computer here. Having some little things going on here. Let's see. I'll get that fixed. But the Venezuela, what's going on with that? First of all, there's a lot of energy off of Guyana, right? If I look at my notes and I was checking Guyana, and in 2016, I just had a circle around Guyana. It's like, I was looking at it back then going, yep, that's, routes and resources, right? I mean, if you want to be predictive, it's very important to study routes and resources, because the big boys, they're not looking at Israel as a homeland for the Jews or something like that. That's the useful idiots that go for that. The real people are routes and resources. Israel was formed because of the Suez Canal opened in 1869, right? And Panama, Masako, can you plug this computer in? It's running out of juice. And sorry about that.
No worries.
And the plug must have come undone. So in any case, it's about routes and resources. And so obviously Panama Canal is absolutely vital. I think you're going to end up seeing war in the Gulf of Mexico area, Gulf of America, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, that region, which is crucial to a lot of people, especially us, right? And keep in mind, Masako and I and Ann Vandersteel, we went to Bahamas a couple of years ago because China has a port right off the coast of Florida in the Bahamas. It's a big port. Look on Google Earth. Look at that Chinese port right off the coast of Florida.
Is it in New Providence, or which island is it on? Do you know?
It's on Masako. What's the name of that island the Chinese port's on in Bahamas? Anyway, she's looking. Anyway, it's on. You can see it. It's right. I mean, it's within medium-sized drone range of Florida, right? You don't even need any hypersonics or anything. You're not going to get there with a DJI drone, but you could get there with it's what 60 miles off, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, that Antigua, I was telling Mike Flynn about the Bahamas thing that we went over and looked at, and he said, you should see Antigua now, right? And likewise, so many other places that are popping off. You see Eric Prince down in Haiti. Yeah. Indian News did a big story about him recently in Haiti. And I said to Eric, actually, I was messaging with him. I said, I noticed you bought an island off, or somehow acquired an island off south of Haiti. You know what I mean? That was, I don't know, a couple of years ago or so. And somehow it came to me through the grapevine. And I was like, what's he up to down there? And the next thing you know, he's in the Indian News of doing things in Haiti. Eric would be a good guy to get on your show, actually.
Yeah, I've interviewed him a couple times. Well, once, but talked with him several times.
He's extremely knowledgeable about that situation, and obviously we've been at war with Venezuela for a while. It's not like this is anything new. And I've said this for, I don't know, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. Yeah. I mean, you could find, me talking about Venezuela when we're actually clearly at war together. We're not at war just with them. They're at war with us. Keep in mind, this is important as well. Iran, Russia, and China have very close relations with Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
And Venezuela is close with Nicaragua and Cuba. So it's not like, I mean, this is a big deal, right? This is not like we're going to go fight Venezuela alone. That's not how this works, right? I mean, you're going to war with all of their buddies as well. And keep in mind, this is a global war. So it's not just, I mean, part of it's right here in Thailand, part of it's in Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, right? You can't understand this thing unless you invest literally years. You're not going to understand it with a few months of study. You're going to have to really throw your body at it and start to study it the way you would study medicine or physics or something. You're going to have to really go at it. You're not going to, become a mathematician and, 5 semesters of calculus in college or something, right? It's going to take a long time, but eventually you'll start to get a feel for it. And once you get a feel for it, then you'll start to be able to be predictive far better than the experts. What do I predict? I think we're going to end up with war, obviously, in the Gulf of Mexico region. And it'll obviously spread because, that's what wars do. Wars at some point, once they're actually a war is, let's say, born, not people swapping some missiles back and forth, but when it really, really takes on a life of its own, like Ukraine now, which is part of a larger war, by the way. It's not discrete little war there. It's part of the larger body.
Sure.
But once it gets going, nobody actually has the power to turn it off. It's like a city that's burning now, and send all your fire trucks. You can't put it out because
that's quite obvious going on right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got its own life. Wars grow. That's one of the basic things that wars do. They grow and they grow unpredictably. All these war predictors that are like, well, this is what's going to happen, and they got that many, jets, and these guys got that many tanks, and the people that are talking about jets and tanks, they're either just distractions or they just don't even. Again, they're like the people talking about you don't understand the tech for Bitcoin and jabs, right? They're not. I don't care if they're a retired general. If they're talking about tanks and jets and all that crap, they're not even in the game. Look at how many aircraft carriers and jets and satellites and nuclear weapons we've got, but the Houthis closed the Bab al-Mandeb with sandals and rockets, right? And so I mean, your friends, your geography, your resources, like whatever, whether it's water or oil or whatever, the various resources, and the Houthis obviously are pals with Iran. Keep in mind, Iran is pals. They're in the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is sort of the other NATO. It's the enemy NATO, as if NATO is not also an enemy at this point. But the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the two languages at SCO, the official languages are Russian and Mandarin, by the way. And so, China's got a train that goes all the way to Iran, deep in Iran now, and they're still building it, right? It goes from Shanghai. I've been to that side in Shanghai, and it goes all these different feeders. Russia's got lines that go down, not train lines, but Russia, and in other words, Iran is not standing there alone, right? Likewise, down in Venezuela, they don't stand alone, and Venezuelans are smart, right? And they've got a lot of resources, but
they're rich. They're
very rich. They're very rich.
My sense is that Venezuela is a vector of unrestricted warfare with the Tren de Aragua, with the election machines, with organized crime, cartel activity, not so much on the drugs, but more like organized criminal human trafficking, maybe up through Panama. I don't know, but it seems like that's a base of that activity to attack the U.S. and has been for years.
Clearly, but I think most Americans watching this don't trust our elections at this point anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're going to attack drugs, why would you start with Venezuela? That's
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it just
something else is going on. So, now they're talking about land, aerial attacks on the land, which means, what's the target set? I mean, is it the oil production? Is it people? Is it command structure? Is it, that's what I'm trying to get my arms around, because I spent I used to trade with all the Veni banks down there, and up in Curacao, and you mentioned Antigua, and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank out of Nevis. I mean, all of that is a thing, right? That Americans have no freaking idea what's going on down there at all. Maybe some of the Venezuelan Americans do, but most people have no idea.
It's a whole universe. It's a whole universe that's going on, and it's not just Americans, but people, especially men, have this propensity to look at ourselves as the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I guess philosophically, everything's the center of the universe. I don't know, I don't know what it is, but you know what I'm getting to. But in countries have, especially the United States and China, have a tendency, and Israel, especially Israel, have a tendency to look at themselves as the center of the universe, right?
Yeah.
But there's all these other galaxies that are going on quite intensely, right? That are doing just fine with or without the United States, right?
Yeah.
And with or without China, right? And so but at the end of the day, I think that we're going to see war, and there's a lot of it's routes and resources, right? Now, on the next level, the people that are used to fight the war, they're always riled up on different grounds, like whether it's religious or justice or that sort of thing. So your marching army will be riled up generally by other things, but also by personal gain. Basically, hey, you can take that place over, you can have some land, right? I mean, like, for instance, the colonists from the Europe that came to America.
Yeah, it's the oldest game in the book, man. That's what the English did.
Yeah, just go on the march and get you some Indian land, right? And then it went on for centuries, and it's still slowly unfolding, even in America. And so it's an old game. It's not just America; it's all over the world, right? You go over there and you rob Ceuta, like when the Portuguese robbed Ceuta in 1415. That was the first real globalist, you can argue, maritime strike force, right? Was 1415 when the Portuguese sailed around the corner, Gibraltar, and went over to Ceuta and attacked it, right? And Ceuta's, by the way, Morocco is under a lot of unrest now. I've been talking about that for several years, that I thought that this was coming, and now it's in the news. I just saw it like a couple of hours ago. But anyway, Ceuta is a city, it's a Spanish city in Africa. So it's an EU city in Africa, Ceuta and Melilla. And, there's two Spanish cities there in Morocco. They're enclaves, right? But that comes from the old days, right? But at the end of the day, Chuck Holton and I, we went there about, 3 or 4 years, maybe 4 years ago. We went to Morocco, and we went to Ceuta. We went to the border of Ceuta. We were on the Moroccan side, and you could see all kinds of indicators something's going to go bad. But at the end of the day, what I'm getting to is Ceuta. That was in 1415. The Portuguese, the reason that it's a Spanish city today was ultimately because of derivative of that attack in 1415. It's a long derivative of that. But that attack that Portugal did in 1415, that's what really kicked off maritime globalism that was beyond the Med, not the Romans and all those guys fighting around the Med, but really got big because now they were, with Henry the Navigator and all that, they were getting better at navigation. And when they got better at navigation, they wanted better ships because they wanted to be able to go further with better ships. They wanted better navigation, better ships, better navigation, better ships, better maps. So they started, that whole architecture of knowledge and skills got built up. And, they had, I guess, Henry the Prince Henry the Navigator. There's some dispute about this, whether he had his little university or whatever teaching, ship building and navigation. I don't know if that's true or not, but at the end of the day, they learned to do ships and navigation a lot better back then. The routes and resources, true global maritime globalism was launched, right? And then, of course, the Spanish got involved in 1492 with our favorite guy who sailed across the ocean blue. But keep in mind that the Portuguese from 1415 to 1492, so several generations, Portuguese had a run of their own, right? Little Portugal was the globalist, right? So they had a running head start for a few generations. Then the Spanish got involved. 1492, Columbus runs into Cuba and thinks he's found Japan, actually. And he runs into the Americas, thinks he's found India. Anyway, so 1494, the Pope's like, oh, my boys, Portugal and Spain are starting to fight about in their neighbors here on the Iberian Peninsula, but they're starting to fight about who could have this part of the world or not. So that's when the Pope came out with the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494, which split the world. That's why Brazil speaks Portuguese today, was that 1494 treaty, right? It split Portugal. It split, Brazil was on the Portugal side, and the rest of South America and whatnot, those countries mostly speak Spanish because of 1494. The Pope was directly involved, right? And then there was the next treaty about 30 years or so later, right? That then, they started to understand more about the world. He had divided the world into just basically Portugal and Spain. And that's why the Portuguese ended up in Japan. The Portuguese went right up this river, right where I'm at now. Portuguese went right by my hotel, which wasn't here then. And they were up in Ayutthaya, right? And doing trade here with the Japanese and others, and Chinese were here, and eventually the Dutch. But as the years went by, others got involved, like the British became.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and Ira. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Welcome back to the SCIF. I hope you enjoyed Michael Yon. He's always a wealth of information. The whole interview will be posted on our show, long-form interview show, The Information Operation. It's about 2 hours long. He kept me up late last night, but it'll be posted there, and you can watch it all soon. Another guy I like to talk to is a contributing editor of the Miami Independent, Ed Vidal. And since we're talking Venezuela and war, I thought we'd get Ed on. So, Ed, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
All right, thank you. Actually, I live here in Doral, which has the most Venezuelans in the United States, so I should know about it.
That's why I thought of you, my friend. So my sense, I was telling Michael, is that Venezuela has been at war with the U.S. for some time. We may not have realized it in a multitude of ways, whether it be human trafficking, drug trafficking, fentanyl, the elections, a lot of different things. I don't think this is my point is I don't think this is about drugs coming out of Venezuela. Right. I think this is like in your face, up in your grill. We're going to confront you. What say you?
Absolutely. And it all goes back to the revocation of the Monroe Doctrine by the Kennedy administration.
Mm-hmm.
From 1961-62, we stopped caring about what was going on in our backyard in the Caribbean. The Russians would call it the near abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept going through the Obama-Biden 3.0 administration. When you're right, they were sending drugs. They even formed a cartel, Tren de Aragua, street gang, to send up here.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading in Chicago a couple of days ago, the ICE had to take out an apartment building. They had ICE agents rappelling in on helicopters, like in Black Hawk Down, to surround the building. They took out half a dozen Tren de Aragua leaders in that apartment building on the south side.
Wow,
so
that's big news.
Venezuela has been, plus the drugs, fentanyl, and the big part of it is they've been part of. They're in trouble themselves, but they have been allied with foreign powers.
Mm-hmm.
With the fentanyl, they're working with China. They've been working with Russia from the beginning. They work with Iran, which they had relationships with from the oil industry, but now they're really very close to it. And it goes back to Havana. Havana, in effect, conquered Venezuela in 1999 with the election of Hugo Chavez. There has not been another clean election. See, that's the problem with socialism. It's a form of government that you can vote your way into, but you have to shoot your way out of.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about New York, and we'll see. But anyway, Venezuela has been at war with the U.S. because of the disregard for the Monroe Doctrine. And fortunately, the Trump administration and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are bringing that back, and we have to confront Venezuela, like blowing these ships out of the water. I'm a libertarian, and I admire Rand Paul. But for him to say, oh, we have to give due process to these pirates, these are pirate ships. When President Jefferson sent the Navy and the Marines to take care of the Barbary Coast pirates, he did not say, oh, first you have to give them due process. No, you just blow them out of the water. They're pirates. In this case, they're instruments of a foreign government because these gangs have been organized by the Venezuelan government. And they're part of really.
That's why you have the Marine Corps fight song to the shores of Tripoli, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where that
comes. The shores of. I don't think they should go on the mainland, but I think definitely they should take over Isla Margarita, which is very, very strategic and would really interdict any kind of traffic up here. And eventually, I say they shouldn't go on the mainland because that has to be done by the Venezuelans. They are the ones that have to overthrow their government. The government is tottering, but they're not down yet. And I think it's important for people to not be liberated by Americans, as happened in France. They were liberated by Americans, and now they're so anti-American. And so, the Venezuelans have to liberate themselves. Same thing in Cuba. Same thing in Nicaragua. And I think there's probably going to have to be some violence involved, and it has to be done by the Venezuelans.
What's the diaspora saying in Miami? What do you hear?
Well, they're all very worried, but they're all also very. I don't think most of them are not going back. I think most of them, especially here in Doral, have prospered in America. They're becoming Americans. For example, in one of my articles this weekend, the Miami-Dade County Republican Executive Committee is so discombobulated and disorganized that they're not having a Lincoln, Reagan, Trump Day dinner this year because they're not organized. There's too much factionalism inside it. So instead, the Venezuelan American Republican Club, based in Doral, is going to have a George Washington gala dinner at Trump National Doral in January. So they're trying to become Americans. They're not going to want to go back to Venezuela. There are a few people that have been taken out of Doral. And the Wall Street Journal, which I think has a woke newsroom, was writing about there were a handful of families that were here illegally. And they were not illegally, but under the temporary parole system that the Biden administration had created. Well, that system status has been terminated. So it's time for them to go back. So there were several rental apartment units that were abandoned by Venezuelans who had to go back or had to go elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that Doral is falling apart. We still have plenty of Venezuelans who are here legally. It's a family community. I mean, my wife and I are senior citizens, and we're a minority by far. Most of this is middle class, working families. They're from Venezuela, half of them, and they're not going back.
Wow. So this is your recent article on the Miami Independent. So talking about the recent debate.
No, the one before. Oh, okay. That was the other one, the debate. Yeah.
Which one should have been authored by you? This one was yours, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is mine.
And then there's another one. Let me bring
There's
up
one about they hosted Jay Collins,
yes,
Secretary Collins. Yeah, that's the top one. The top one.
Yeah, there we go. So you can go to Miami Independent and see Ed's work. Fantastic local journalism tied to the international stuff, which is what we want. We're fantastic. We're good at that. So Ed, thank you. Tell us about Jay Collins. What are you thinking there?
Well, he is a close ally of Governor DeSantis and legislative ally. DeSantis recruited him to run for the state Senate. And what's happened here in Florida is that Ron DeSantis has been a good governor and very good in certain things, okay, on others, not so good. But he's generally been a good governor. But he made a huge mistake in going against Trump. And he should have known better. By the time he declared his campaign, which was May of 2024, it was, or 23, you could see that the Trump train was coming back. You could see that Trump had withstood the raid on Mar-a-Lago, and he was getting his act together. I think Trump did a terrible job in the midterms with some of his senatorial selections, like he picked Oz over McCormick, and he had some terrible candidates in Arizona, in New Hampshire, and elsewhere. But he was coming back. By the spring of 23, I would say, you could tell that the Trump train was coming back. And I think I wrote a couple of articles on that. And DeSantis, notwithstanding that, still ran against Trump. He did it out of his own personal ego and ambition. Also, he was driven by his wife, Casey, who was very ambitious.
He was driven by some other people too.
Yeah, well, but he lined himself up with the Bushies and the Karl Rove, Paul Ryan, Jeb Bush. I went to his inauguration. Jeb Bush was on the stage. I couldn't believe it. So some other people, former governor of Illinois, Bruce Rauner, was on his inauguration committee. When I saw that was a bad tip-off. So
that's a tell when Bush gets on the stage with you.
Right. So unfortunately, he did that. It was a mistake, but now he's paying for it because he shot at the king and he missed.
Yes.
And so what happened this year in January of 25 is that the entire legislative body of Republicans, with supermajority of Republicans, they were all against him right from the start. They were the House Speaker, Danny Perez, and the Senate President, Al Britton. They were all against him, and I couldn't see what's going on here. Battle of the Rhinos, and I think that's what happened. But what's happening here, and I've written about this also, is that the Republican establishment in Florida is split. Florida is overwhelmingly Republican, but the establishment is split, which is a good thing for conservative grassroots activists, because then we can extract some concessions. So on one side, there are 4 statewide offices that Ron DeSantis has nominated and named this year. Number 1 is now the lieutenant governor, who is going to be, I think, running for governor next year for sure. The former lieutenant governor resigned to become president of FIU. He also has nominated the attorney general, his former general counsel. He nominated for attorney general because former attorney general Ashley Moody was nominated to be the U.S. senator, replacing Marco Rubio. And then the CFO, the state CFO, Jimmy Patronis, ran for Congress, replacing Matt Gaetz. So he named Blaise Ingoglia, a state senator, to be the state CFO. So those are 4 statewide positions: lieutenant governor, attorney general, state CFO, and the U.S. senator, that have all been named by DeSantis. On the other side, the Republican Party of Florida, RPOF, and there's another faction led by Susie Wiles, who is Trump's chief of staff. So she gets him to endorse people that are totally not necessarily not so great here in Florida. So Trump is really being misled by Susie Wiles, but she's doing a good job for him as his, I guess, organizing his schedule. So that's what can we do? So that faction has endorsed Byron Donalds for governor. And Byron, I like him. When I hear him on Fox Business, he's usually a good business guy, but he has a lot of explaining to do. He was tied to the Trayvon Martin, and we have the evidence of that. His campaign challenged one of our articles, and we sent them back the evidence, and they couldn't answer it. And he's got other things. He was not very supportive of the J6ers. He says they got what they deserved. He was not very supportive on election integrity. He said that machines are here to stay. Biden won fair and square. Get over it. And so all these things. He's also in favor of some of the vaccine mandates, so he has a lot of explaining to do. So I'm happy to see that the DeSantis faction, which is not perfect, is going to challenge him. In addition to that, though, the Susie Wiles, Donald Trump faction has, in addition to Byron for governor, they have offered House Speaker Danny Perez a chance to run for Attorney General against the DeSantis nominee, Jim Utmeyer. So that's good. I mean, I like competition. They also are lining up some state rep to run for state CFO. I don't know what they're going to do with Ashley Moody. They were trying to get Corey Mills, a congressman, to run against her, but then he's had some ethical issues arise recently, so he may not be doing that. So the bottom line is that there's a division into two factions among the establishment Republicans in Florida, and that's a great opportunity for conservatives to extract whatever concession, especially on election integrity.
Mm-hmm.
We want to check those machines. We want to roll back the vote by mail, things like that they have not been responsive on. In fact, Florida establishment Republicans have been going against the Trump executive orders.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
it's an election fraud cartel. I mean,
right. Well,
I'm not a big fan of DeSantis, but anyway.
Well, I know, but it's worse. This is politics. You can't always have.
Well, he's running the elections out of his residence. It's not a free state. But
somebody told me that he was disappointed with all politicians. I said, so am I, except maybe Ted Cruz. So that's all.
What about Rubio? Last question. He's become quite powerful. What do you see for him in the future?
I think he's got the inside track to be J.D. Vance's vice presidential nominee in 28. I think he's gotten the power because he's been doing what he was told to do. He's a very diligent student, and he knows this is the way for him to go up. There was some talk that he might resign to run for governor in Florida, which he would win in a walk. But I think he's going to stick it out, and I think he's going to go for vice president. I think Vance will want him as vice president, not only because he's done a good job, but also, this is DEI backwards. He's being drafted because Rubio is Hispanic, so he wants to get the Hispanic vote. But Rubio's done a good job, so he's earned the position. He's cracking down. I think you'll see some steps with Venezuela. He's really taking aim at Maduro, and I think that once he does that, you might see Cuba come down and have regime change there as well. And if he does that, they'll carry Dade County by 70% of the vote, and Florida with 60% of the vote.
Ed, thank you. I appreciate your time, man.
No problem. Anytime.
We'll have you back, and thanks for all your work on the Miami Independent. Please
Okay.
check out his work there. Take care.
And
guys.
you got my name changed on that. Inez doesn't want to. She's getting all this crack for.
We didn't know that was a mistake. Sorry.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm a naturopathic doctor. We are in the world of medicine, very acquainted with many modalities, but probably the one most familiar with everybody would be two things: homeopathy and herbals or herbs, maybe some nutrients too, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. Now, we do know a lot about the drugs because we have to find out what drug you're taking affects you and what nutrient it depletes you of, because most every drug pharmacy product will deplete something. So we have been trained and we have a database that we can check into that says this is going to take your B12 away. The pharmaceutical company cannot patent organic substances made by the body. You're not born short of Advil. You're not born short of Ritalin.
Yeah.
You can be born short of insulin, right? The answers to staying healthy and keeping away from even SARS or any of those things getting into you is staying healthy. You and I get sick because our terrain gets out of balance. Well, that's the same thing in the soil. You and I are made from this thing called dirt. And when we get out of balance, we have the same thing happen. Weeds start to grow in our body. Right? And that's what we want in our body. We want nutrients that we don't understand how to get well enough yet because our suppliers are lacking knowledge on nutrient density foods.
So this is what drove you to develop this, was your knowledge of this, right?
Right. You know that.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Something weird is going on with our transmissions. We're getting all kind of bots coming in and attacking us. Twitter and X, or X is filled with bots who are nefarious. Getting comments that our site, if you click on the show, takes you to a site which will infect your computer and garbage like that. So screw these guys. We're going to go around them, under them, over them, through them, whatever. We're going to get the show out there. So please spread the links. Please help us make people aware of the SCIF. It's becoming quite an impactful show, and we're getting a lot of calls to come on the show. So a lot more good guests coming. Let's talk gifts for Christmas, stocking stuffers real quick. Armedforces.press, merch, get it. Great gift ideas there. Different gift ideas that you won't that the person will not have before. Great to go in the stocking. This coffee cup, there's all kind of hoodies, t-shirts, etc., to look good in the gym. Nucleo Boost, you can get the capsule versions or the powder at cdmnutrition.com. Great stocking stuffer, just slides right in that stocking right there, and your loved one will have everything they need for the nutrition at the cellular level. Alp is another one, cdmalp.com. You can get a sleeve of Alp tins to go in the stocking. Great gift idea. And for other gifts, won't go in the stocking, but check out my books, Currency and Paying the Price, The Untold Story of the Iranian Resistance, at historyofbooks.com or anywhere books are sold. And last but not least, go to My Pillow, use promo code CDM, check out all the products. Mike has a lot of stuff. Get your Christmas gifts now. Get it out of the way. Do it today, and it'll arrive in a few days, and you can put it under the bed or whatever, and you'll be ready to pack and wrap when the holidays come. Thank you so much. I've got to run to DC. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be live from another location in DC tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to noon Eastern, and then we got the Georgia show on Monday with Bill Quinn at 2 p.m. I won't be on that show because I'll be in DC, but Bill will handle the show then. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for all your support. We're on podcast. Check us out there. And just let me have a request. If you haven't signed up for our Rumble or YouTube or podcast, just do it. Subscribe so we get the numbers up. And also X channel for CDM, please, and mine at realltoddwood.com. We're getting blocked, throttled, shadow banned all the time. And sign up for our no ad subscriptions, please. If you haven't done it, go to cdm.press, top right corner. It says subscribe with no ads in the top black menu, and you can get all of our content across the entire network for $10 a month. It helps us. It supports us. It gives us revenue we can count on to do reporting. We're spending a lot of money fighting the bad guys, going all over the world trying to bring you good reporting. We'll be in Beirut in a few weeks, and we need the support. So you can pay $100 a year, get that out of the way. It's done for the year, and you'll be ready to go with no ads popping up on your phone at cdm.press. Thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.